Good morning, everyone. So, in the last session, we are trying to discuss about the one of the important example on this particular Spring Spring with the annotation example. So, if you see here, we are not writing any single line of XML configuration here. So, what we are trying to discuss here, we try identify the security config, and the same way now you can see security initializer. So, this will try to provide the one of the important example on the our filter related section. So, the all the initializer classes. Okay, this initializer security related section, it will try to provide the filter related example. And the same way, now if you observe carefully, this will give you the root information. So whatever the web.xml we are trying to create, this will try to convert it into the web.xml. Now here, what is the class we are trying to creating? Dispatcher solid initializer. Okay, and same way we identified here, this is the our configuration classes. So this particular class will contain the all the example here. So whatever the example we discussed with help of this particular XML configuration, we provided here. Okay. So now what you need to understand here, if I'm going to run this example, again it will try to identify the same in-memory authentication example. So whatever we discussed the in-memory authentication, so this is the example we are going to discuss here. Now if you observe carefully, so it is trying to providing the Spring Boot like a Spring security related debug configurations here. So this is the default security login page it is coming here. Okay, so this is the Spring security we provided. Now it is trying to convert it into the our home page. So we don't have any data because of this. So nothing data is printing here. If you go to here, so inside this particular row I given as Hibernate. Okay, so every time it is trying to create and drop here. So now, so anyway, now what we can do, so we can go to this particular register section. Now we can give the security, whatever we discuss here, the email I'm trying to providing here. And so where we are having the Spring security. Now you can see it is coming to the register account details here. Getting the point. So this is the way of inserting the data with help of this particular annotations here. Getting the point. Now you can see here. So login we are inserting, register as well as whatever we discuss about the role section. So these are all the three classes. So what is the mapping association we are using here? If I'm going to show you, this is the register class we are having. Getting the point. Inside the register class, we are trying to use the one-to-one annotation for this particular login. And another one, if I'm going to discuss about the role, here many to one we are having. So many to one roles we are going to have many, and login we are going to have only one here. And inside the login, so we are going to discuss about the two section. First one is one to many. This is for the roles, and another one is one to one. Another one is one to one. Okay, this is one of the important example we are discussing with help of this. This is the one of the annotation example we identified. So same thing whatever we discussed. If I'm going to show you, so another important section, something like local host. So it's like a admin section, and here, so this is the user alert we are discussing here. Inside the user alert, so we have a 12 pending objects we have. So these are all the 12 pending objects we are having. So we need to, so like we push the data and we did not receive this particular data from the ActiveMQ here. Okay, so the receive related code we commented here. Because of that, we could not receive the data from this particular ActiveMQ. Okay, now you can see using this particular section we can receive the data here. So these are all the important sections. So now if I'm going to provide So here we cannot identify because of this particular class cast exception we are getting it. Because of this, the data is not loading it, but when we are trying to receive and convert it into the appropriate data type is, so we are going to get the data here. This is important here. Okay, so with help of this particular annotation example, we identify. So in the last, what is an exception we got basically? So if I'm going to explain the register class, because of this particular base 64 property, we got a multiple exception. We got a multiple exception. I debug the code and analyze the root cause and fix that. Now I'm making the transient. So whenever I'm making this embedded in transient, basically it will not create the column in the database. If I'm going to show you, or we can see here, insert into register. So confirm password, email, first name, image, last name, login ID, and I'm trying to save into the register as well as login also. So these are all the username and so the remaining columns we don't have. Like here we don't have a base 64 as well as whatever we are trying to discuss about the file. Basically why I'm using this particular file. This particular file we are trying to converting whatever the image we are going to use. So this image, it will try to come up as a multi-part file here. Okay, for this particular multi-part file configuration, so what we are doing is, if I'm going to explain this and somewhere, this is the multi-part resolver we are using here. This particular bean configuration, it's required when we are trying to work over the file related example. Okay, now we are inserting and we are trying to return the same whatever we inserted here. Okay, so this is all about the simple example on this particular MVC annotation we discussed here. Now what we need to understand here, so we need to move on to the Spring Boot related examples here. Getting the point. So using this particular Spring Boot, we'll come back to, again we'll try to insert the data whatever we are discussing here, but I pushed this particular changes and you can access the same changes in our GitHub repository. So if you go to here, so where I'm having Spring MVC annotation. So here we are having, this is the MVC annotation example. Getting the point. This is the MVC annotation example, whatever we discussed here, everything the code I pushed here, you can get the code and you can practice this. Okay, and another one, what we are having, so we have the another important section, something like MVC. This is the XML based MVC application we discussed here. Okay, so see the differences here. So MVC and MVC annotations here. And along with this, now I want to provide the another important example. So basically we have, so here we need to discuss about the another important section called internet banking. So this is the one module I implemented. Getting the point. So this is the one module. It's like a one of the online banking applications. So nowadays how the online banking applications are working. So simple module I implemented here. Now if you go to this, so here you can see this is the main package, and internally we are having these many packages here. So this application we developed with help of this particular Spring Boot here. Getting the point. So this application I developed with help of this particular Spring Boot here. Now I will explain this example how it is going to work here. But if you are familiar with the Spring Boot, you can download this particular code and you can practice it. So along with this, now this application is going to depends on the front end applications as well. The front end application here I'm trying to provide the information. So these are all the front end I implemented here. Now if you go to this, so these are all the different controller like components we are going to call in the React.js. So these are all the different components I created here. Now you can see, so accounts of within the bank. So here we are going to provide so I made some random numbers here. So this data basically we need to load from the database here. Okay. So this particular data we need to load from the database. Now you can see, so it will try to show the account number, account type, branch and balance. So and if you go to this, it is a CSS file here, and now you can see account to profile. So these are all the link I provided here wherever you want to go. So account summary, account statement, and login password change. Now you can see profile we are going to provide and pending statement. So if I want to know about the your CIBIL score, so just I provided the link here. So some of the links are not going to work here. So we did not write the much code here. Now same thing, account statement. So account number, account types, and branch. So saving something. These are all the information I'm trying to providing here. So these are all the different components I implemented. And if I'm going to show you the look and feel how it is going to work, so this is basically it will look and feel here. So this is the React.js I implemented here. Now you can see, so I added like personal banking, something like a corporate banking we are having, and these are all the same thing, like whatever the SBI application is working. So I copy the some basic functionality from the SBI, we implemented this. Okay, so this message also it's going to show you this some SBI related sections here. Okay, if I'm trying to click here, it will go to the sign in, and if you are trying to click on the register, it will go to the register page, and you can see first name, last name, username, password, something like email, re-enter the password, mobile number, and is the primary account or not, it's showing. So address one, address to something. So if you're trying to click on this register, is expecting some required fields here. Get in the pen. So if you see here, please enter the your last name. Whatever the name we earlier we have, so it is now replaced with the the error message. In place of the column name, now it is showing as a error name here. Okay. So same thing like this is the some side flow I'm adding here. So I copy from the SBI related whatever they are going to provide the some offers here. Okay, so this everything is going to work here. Now if you're trying to click this, now what happening, it is moving into the sign in, because right now I did not implemented this. So but you can see how we can write the Navi bots with the help of the our bank here. So this is our simple I defined Java bank here. Get in the point. So use this too, and it will work front and back end when the both applications are running. So it will try to run the application. So once you log in, now you are going to redirect into the your profile page here. So automatically you will go to the redirect here. Getting the point. So we need to add lot of changes here, but simple look and feel it will work here. Okay. So this code I implemented inside the React.js, and whatever I shown the backend application. So with help of this particular Spring Boot, so you can download from the this is getting the point. So here, if you go to the uh, resource classes, so resource basically it is a controller classes. Now you can see, so login resource we did not have much code, so something like we are validating and we are trying to inserting it. So nothing is there inside the insert here, but only it is trying to work on the validate. Now if you go to the user resource, it will contain lot of code here. So save user. So what we are doing is we are trying to converting username, role, person, address, and contact. Getting the pen, and we are trying to save address, person, all the information, and we are trying to go to the login user. So validating, we are trying to validating the token. So with help of this particular section, we are validating the token, and we are trying to work on the OTP related section. So generating the OTP, and here we are submitting the OTP, and we are trying to load the user information. Okay, now you can see you are updating the login password. So first what we will do, we'll try to load the old password, and with help of that, we'll try to update the. Now you can click on the forget password. So now forget password confirmations. So we have a different endpoints we implemented. So now you can see this is the main the resource class we implemented here. It will try to look up the whatever we implemented here. So everything it will work, validating and going the profile page, checking the your statements, as well as you can check with the password credential. You are going to get the like OTP also. For the OTP related, I implemented something like we have a the like what we can call it open source tool. So the open source tool I used here. So this is something like a user token. It will available the time duration. So if the token is expired, automatically will go back to the login page here. So this is the one of the user token class I created here. Now, so I will show you the library. So how we can use the library. Where is the pom.xml? So here we need to add the open source library for generating the token like OTP. Where is the library? So this is the library I'm using. This particular library, it will try to provide the OTP related sections here. So we need to log into the Twilio account here. So it will try to provide the mobile number we need to provide. So based on the registered mobile number, we can generate the OTPs here. Okay. So this is, so just to use this the project what I implemented, you can practice well. And if you are interested to, you can add additional classes, whatever you are adding here. Okay. So, but you need a front end here. So this is the front end here. So this particular front end, if you want to load, I will give you the front end link here. So you can access this particular front end link here. So here, this is for the front end related code here. If you go to this, so these are all the, I copy some of the images here, and along with this particular images, now if you go to the services, what are the services? Only one service we are having. This basically it will try to connect with our backend application. Now you can see, so save user, so validate sign in info, so generate OTP, load user info, and submit login OTP, and some password related. So what is the library I'm using is, so you can see access library. So with help of this particular library, we are going to communicate our database. So the database is going to run on this is the URL. Okay, here I'm trying to add home URL place user login user. So where it is having, so this is our one of the endpoint login user. It will connect from the front end. So this is the user service, the React.js component I created here. Now if you go to the source, and these are all the different components whatever we are having here. I'm provided the one of the CSS, home CSS, login CSS, some any other CSS I'm having. So account profile CSS. Okay. So with help of this particular CSS, I modify some changes here. Now you can see. So these are all the user information. So user body information, account profile, and left side and right side, the sideboards, whatever we are having, user header fields, get in the pen. If you go to this particular to repository, you'll get some idea how I implemented the changes here. Okay. So don't push your changes, just download this particular code with help of this particular download zip, and you can run your applications here, because I'm going to add a lot of changes on this particular applications here. Okay. So coming back to our Spring Boot here, now whatever we discuss here, this particular changes also I made into our example. Like this particular code also I push into the GitHub repository. Now, so what you need to understand, basically why we need to go back to the Spring Boot here. So what are the drawbacks we have inside this particular Spring base, basically. So as we discuss here, Spring is one of the lightweighted frameworks. When we are trying to discuss about this, we already discussed here, Spring is a lightweighted. So and it is one of the alternative to this particular EJB. Okay, so the enterprise Java being, before this particular Spring framework, we used to work on the EJB related frameworks here. Okay, so why the Spring is like it is deprecated now? Why we need to move on to the Spring Boot here? So basically, we have a main the advantage we are going to get from the Spring Boot. So basically, when you are trying to work on this particular Spring, we used to focus more on the configuration section. So instead of focusing more on the business logic, we are going to focus on the configuration. So because Spring is going to take more about the configuration, either you are going to work on the XML configuration, or you are going to work on the annotation configurations. Get in the pen. So we discuss in the both scenarios how it is going to work XML as well as annotations here. But what we are doing here, we are going to focus more on the time on the either XML configurations or annotation configuration. So to reduce this particular configuration, Spring Boot introduce one of the important concept called starters here. Okay, so when you're trying to providing this particular starters, what happens internally? It will try to download the required dependencies, and based on this particular required dependencies, internally it will provide the default configuration. This is important here. Internally, what happens? It will try to provide the default configuration. So based on this particular default configuration, we can work on our applications here. So here we are not going to focus more on the configuration. We'll focus more on the application business logic here. Okay, so this is we can identify along with this. So Spring Boot provided some additional like advantages. The first one, Acquia framework. So basically, this will give you the the about the application information. So when you're trying to add the one of the starter, it will give you the information about the how your application is working, what are the beans we created, and what are the memories the beans are occupied. Everything is going to provided by the Akito framework. And another one, we need to identify so we are going to create the Spring Boot application with a different ways here. So we can come up with the command line, or we can go for the website, or we can go for the IDs here. So with help of this particular IDs, we are going to create. Okay. So I will try to provide the one by one advantages, how it is going to provide the Spring Boot. First, we need to focus on how we can write the Spring Boot related applications here. So if I want to write the Spring Boot applications, what are the required changes we need basically? Okay, so here I'm trying to stop this particular Spring related example here. Now, if I'm going to show you the Spring Boot, what we can do, first we'll try to provide so this is the one of the website we are going to use it. So Spring Initializer. So using this particular Spring Initializer, we can provide what are the dependencies we need here, and you can download this particular section of code. Now if you see, basically what we are doing is, now these are all the latest version. So it's trying to under the implementation. Snapshot versions we cannot use, so they cannot have a full implementation here. Okay, so now you can see, because of that they are trying to select by default 2.7.3. And what is the language we need to use? So we need to select as Java. So Spring Boot is going to supported by this particular 3 languages here. Okay, so Java and Groovy little bit the same, and the Kotlin will have a different here. And here, so we are going to provide the group ID and artifact and the name of your project, and we are going to provide the description and package information. So why we need to provide this? Because internally it will try to take as a whatever we are going to provide, it will try to take as a either jar or var. So if you go to this particular Spring, now if you go to the any one of the POM file, where is the POM file? If I'm going to show you the any one of the POM file here, you can see how we are providing this group ID, artifact ID, packages, name and description. Getting the point. So whatever we provided when we are trying to work with this particular Maven related application, so this particular group related sections is required, because whenever we are trying to build this with help of this particular group ID and artifact ID, it is going to generate the var file. So let's see, do we have any var file here? You can see annotation hyphen, so 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot.var. Getting the point. So this is the way the var file is going to generate it. Whenever we are trying to deploy the application, we'll deploy this particular var file and we can run our applications here. Getting the point. So because of this, we need this particular group related information and artifact. Whenever we are trying to reuse this section, we'll provide the group ID as well as artifact ID. So how we are providing right now, group ID, artifact ID, the version. So version, what is the version we are using? This is the current version we are using, our annotation example. Okay, so this is important when we are trying to work with the multiple applications. So this application may depends on the another application. So in that case, we'll try to download this current application with help of this particular group ID as well as artifact ID. Okay, so this information we need to provide here. Okay, now what is the group ID we can provide here? So something like com dot spring boot. Okay, what is the artifact ID we can provide here? Something like example, or we can provide the com dot spring dot boot. What we can provide? Com dot. So we can take a com dot artifact. Also we cannot take. We can go for the example only. So the package name I can modify. So name of our application. So Spring Boot example. Okay, Spring Boot example. So this is the demo project for Spring Boot, and this is the package we are having. So up to the package, I'm going to remove com.spring boot. Okay, so we can select either jar or var based on our deployment. Getting the pen based on our server. So server is going to support the jar or var. We can take this here. Okay, most of the cases, the web application we are going to select as a var here. So what is the current what version we need to use? So we can go for the 11 here. Okay, so it's going to support the any one of the version whatever you're selecting. And here now you can see dependencies here. So this is important here because as of now we did not added any dependencies. Just we provided the project metadata. And if I want to add, so simply I will add web related. So this is the web one I'm trying to add here. Okay, so basically this is the starter. Now you can read here. It will try to including the RESTful application using the Spring MVC, and it is going to provide the Tomcat server. So as well as it is going to provide the one of the container, whatever the Spring container we are going to discuss here. So default container it is going to provided by this. Okay, and so far we are going to use only this particular web. Later we'll add different starters here. Now what we can do here, so you can click on this particular generate here. Now what happens internally, it will try to generate this particular zip file here, this particular zip file. Now what you can identify this, you can provide the Spring Boot application. Okay, Spring Boot application. Now you can save this. Now whatever we provided, now it is converting into the zip file. The zip is downloaded here. If you go to this particular location, so where it is having inside this particular D drive. Now what you can do, if I'm going to load from here, we'll see import here. Which one we can select? EJB var board. Let's see. So do we have any zip file here? So what happened here? So it is trying to provide this, so into which folder is expecting it. So instead of doing this, now what we can do, we'll go to the extract section. So we'll try to extract here. We have a example. Okay, so now what you can do, you can build this. You can build this first. So how we are going to build here? Now you can see MVC clean install. Getting the point. Now whenever we are trying to build this internally, Spring Boot is going to run our application here. Now we'll see. So you can see the Spring Boot is running here. Here Spring Boot is started here. You can see here the Spring Boot application is started. And finally build success. So if I want to run this particular Spring Boot application, now what we can do, here we can go for the MVN spring-boot colon, you can use the command call run here. So internally it will try to run our server. So if you observe carefully, so here it is started Spring Boot example application, whatever we are trying to download it from the Spring Initializer website, and it's trying to run on the which port? It is trying to run on the 8080. So if I'm going to load this particular 8080, we don't have home pages, like the home pages are what we can call it as a HTML pages. Because of this, now it will not run this. We'll get an exception. So it will try to provide some error related exception here. Any another applications are running? So why it is taking time? Okay, so maybe application is started. Why? Basically, we are expecting one error page, so it is taking some time. Let me try inside the incognito. Hmm. Any exception? No. So why it is not connecting? Basically, it should connect this particular localhost 8080 and it should throw one error message here. But this is taking some time. Any other servers are running. If it is running, it should throw an error. Okay, we stop this particular server. So I think no servers are running, but why it is taking? Okay, so anyway, but what we need to understand here, I'm going to stop this. Okay, so the batch is stopped here. Now finally, we'll try to import this particular package. So we are going to use the import, and it is a Maven project. So we'll click on the existing Maven and where we can go, and inside this particular D drive we have a project here. So I'm trying to click on the finish. So it's a simple. Now you can see we are trying to import this particular whatever the example package we created here. So now you can see if you are trying to build this. So when you're trying to build this internally again, what happens? It will try to start our same server here. So first we'll install, like we'll try to build this particular example project here. Okay, it is built successfully. Now if I'm going to show you the code section, what we are having is simple, the main class is generated here. So along with this particular main class, now you can see inside the resource folder application.property file, by default it is generating with empty the properties here. And this is the test files here. So if you go to this particular test file, the same simple test class here. So Spring Boot test here. Getting the point. So this is the basic structure it is going to created by the MVC applications here. So from here you can run the Spring Boot related application. So now what I'm doing is, here I'm going to run the one more class here, something like a home controller. Okay, here I'm going to start the home controller. Inside this particular home controller, now what we can do, we'll try to add the controller annotation. So we already discussed here. This is one of the stereotype annotation. Getting the pen. This is one of our stereotype annotation we are using. So we are going to we are going to send the request from the browser. Why we are getting this? Okay. So controller, and after this, now what we can identify? Simple message. Getting the pen. So this is the request to mapping. Request to mapping. What I'm going to use slash. Getting the pen. So slash I'm going to provide here inside the template. Now what I will do here, I'm going to add a file called home.html here. And here now what I will do, so here I'm going to add one library, one of the starter, another starter we are going to use. So something like we'll go to the Maven repository, and inside the Maven repository now I'm going to use Thymeleaf. Okay, so I'm using, so this is the starter I'm going to use here, timeless starter. We'll discuss about this particular timeless starter, but observe carefully how it is going to work here, and we can remove the version here. So whatever the version we are discussing here, we can remove the version, because this version it is going to download it from the parent here. If you see here, we have a one parent attribute section. So from here, it will try to download the all the dependencies here. So what is the version we are using currently? 2.7.3. So with help of this particular 2.7.3, internally it will try to download the timeleaf related libraries here. So now once we save this, we can go to the Maven repository, and somewhere, so you can see this is the timeleaf spring 5-3 dot 15 version. So this is something like the 5 version of this particular spring. The timeleaf is downloaded here. Okay, so whenever we are adding this particular status, what is the starter we added? Basically we added web. Whenever we are adding this particular web, so by default it is adding this particular time code, and another one it is adding this particular test here. So this is the another starter we added now, because of this particular three, whatever, because of this particular three starters here. Now you can see these many dependence jars are downloaded. If I'm going to provide the dependency hierarchy, so these many, getting the point. So this particular sections automatically it is going to download it and is available in our class path here. So this is the main advantage we are going to get from the Spring Boot. So if you are trying to work with the Spring, what happens is these are all the dependencies explicitly we need to add here. Getting the point. So if any one of the version is not supported here, again we need to fix the version related here. But here, what happening? So this particular issue we are not going to face here. So whenever we are adding the starter, based on the starter, it will try to download all the required dependency. Now you can see, you can select here, more than 20 jars are downloaded by default here. Because of this particular three starters, more than 20 the dependent jars are downloaded. Getting the point. So this is the main advantage we are going to get from the Spring Boot here. Okay, so now we added, these are all the sections here. Now if I'm going to show you this, let me close other tabs here, and we'll open so it is little bit slow. So home.html. Now what we need, so whatever the timeleaf, basically this is the one of the another framework we are going to discuss here. Now you can see, so this is the timeleaf whatever we are trying to discuss here. Now you can read this. This is the one of the modern server-side Java template here. With help of our server-side applications here, we are going to develop the front-end application using this particular timeleaf here. Getting the point. So we'll see, so simple example how it is going to work here. Okay, we'll identify how this particular timeleaf it is going to work here. So just I'm going to copy the home page of this particular timeleaf here. So just I want to copy the home page. Now we'll see home page layout, any home page layout we are having. So if I'm going to provide this is the home page purpose. So where they are trying to providing this. Okay, let me copy this. So if it is working home page, we can reuse it. I will explain this how it is working internally. Now simply, so this is the one of the HTML header section. So header section they are trying to make as a dot. So we can go for the title. Spring Boot application. So we'll remove this particular dot, and so this is the div related. This is basically HTML related tags. Getting the point. So now you can see, so it is trying to replace with this particular header section. Now we'll remove this. We don't need. So this is the whatever the th we are using. This is basically all the timely related attributes here. So whatever we are using. So here we need to use the home page. It is not used here. Let me go to the body section. No, where is a full file here? Okay, so this is not available. So basically, it is not having the full file here. So anyway, now what we can do, template layout, how the template layouts are having. This is we need to use. It will try to download from the this particular timeleaf.org. Now you can see whenever I'm trying to add this particular library, so what is the namespace we are using? TH here. Get in the pen. So this is the XMLNS. Again, we are using the TH here, the namespace of this particular time leaf. So we are starting with the TH here. So these are all the time leaf related attributes. So now you can see wherever we are using. So here we are not using. These are all the basic HTML, and here we are using the sign up. And where we are using, whenever we are trying to click on this, it will go to the sign up here. Okay, so this is the one of the sign up button. And something we don't have much information. If I'm going to run this example one more time, we are going to expecting this HTML home.html page we are going to see in our browser here. Let me run this example. Run as a Java application here, because it is starting with the main method. So what is the name of the main method we are having here? Spring Boot example application. If I'm trying to click this, so it is trying to start our application here. Now you can see here, you can see start a Spring Boot example. This is the milliseconds of time is taken, and it is trying to run on the port call 8080. So let me run this example. So now we are getting the 500. So basically this is we are expecting in the earlier also. So this is the error page. By default, Spring Boot is going to provide this particular error page here. Now you can see we are getting 500. So why we are getting the 500? Here you need to understand here. So if you go to this, you can read the 500. So something like a template input exception. So resolving this particular template, whatever we are having, the fragments and header, so template might not exist or might not be accessible any another template here. Getting the pen. So here we are getting the line number 8 here. So whatever the line number 8 we are defining this is getting an error here. Now you can see, so if I am going to remove this section because of this particular timely replace here, so we are getting an error here. Let's see if I'm going to replace this, so still it is not working. We need to stop, and again we need to start the server. So this is the Spring Boot example application we need to run here. So still we are getting. So somewhere we are having footer also. This is also not needed because we are trying to find out the simple page here. Okay, again I'm trying to run this Java application. So you can select the Spring Boot, or you can go to the main class. You can run this example. Now you can see again it is started. Now if I'm going to refresh this, it should get the home page. So this is the static home page we are able to see here. Get in the pen. Just I copy from the whatever the home page is provided by the time leaf here. Now you can see. So this is the sign up. We are moving into the sign up here. We are not having the page. Because of this, we are getting the 404 error. Getting the point. So this is important section we need to understand here. But now what we need to focus here? What we need to focus, again same. Whatever we implemented with help of this particular Spring example, we are going to discuss about the same ones here. Getting the point. So we are going to discuss about the same sections here. So if I want to provide the same section, now what we need here, I copy I copy some of the login and register related sections here. So we'll copy into our home page here. So we'll copy into our home page how we are going to discuss this example. So if I want to go to this, the same thing, whatever I provided this particular home page here, so this particular section of code is same here. Now let me go to this particular GitHub here. So this is the time leaf I'm having. Now if you go to this particular source directory, main and resource here, inside the resource we have a template here. Inside the template we are having these three sections here. Now I'm going to copy home related section. So whatever we implemented, so it is a home related sections here. Now I'm going to replace with home here. Now we'll try to remove the any unwanted related sections if we are having here. If we are having any unwanted related sections here. Now I'm stopping this. So we'll see. So the title we can go for the Spring Boot application. So welcome to, so we can go for the same message here also instead of something. Now I'm trying to providing the message. So we'll see from where this particular message is coming and another information, login and registration. So and this is the simple text we are trying to return. And internally what we are doing is the same, the anchor tag we are using, the same anchor tag for the registration and login section. But finally what we are using, so this is the time leaf library we are using. So the server, if you see here, we are using the time card only. Okay. If you go to this particular pom.xml, here we are adding time card related section. Here only it is providing the time card information. If you are not interested, it will support the Spring Boot 3 servers here, time card, Jetty or Undertow. So you can use any one of the server. So just comment out this particular dependency and you can add, so whatever the server you want to run our application here. So this is the starter is important here. Now you can see I am not adding any servers also here. So this is another important we need to understand here. So without adding server also, this application is running. So basically it is providing lot of automations here. So all of the configurations is providing as a by default here. So just focus, we are going to focus more on the application code only, like we are going to focus on the business example. Okay, so this is the home.xml HTML I copied here, and another one we'll try to copy the same whatever we copied the login. So file login.html. Okay, we'll discuss about this particular sections, how it is going to work here. And another one is we have a registration. And these three sections I'm going to add here. Registration.html. Whatever we are having this, I will remove this. So we don't need these many columns here. And we have a JavaScript here. So this is also not required. Okay, so this is I'm having. We'll identify how many parameters we are having here. How many parameters we are having, we'll try to identify here. Okay, so let's see. So first we'll go for the login. So if we understand the login, we can easily understand about the registration section. Now you can see the H2 it is trying to providing employee registration section. So here also we don't need the JavaScript libraries. Just I added. We'll see if this is not working. We'll remove this section here because this is the jQuery library I'm adding here. Okay, so and another one we are having Bootstrap related CSS files here. Basically, whenever you're adding the Bootstrap related CSS, what we need a dev class. It should match it with whatever we are having inside the Bootstrap here. Because I did some R&D on the Google. I copied this too, and I copied this particular dev section. So it's going to provide some look and feel sections here. Okay, now you can see username and password. But what we need to focus more here, when we are trying to click on this particular save, now it will go to the TH action, time leaf action. So now where it is going here, so this is important. When we are trying to make any request here, so it will go to the save login. Okay, so this is the @ we are trying to providing. So it will go to the it will contain this particular object and it will go to this particular save login endpoint. And what is exactly this particular TS object will contain? So we use the model object here, like model attribute, the command name we used in the earlier example. So same way in the time leaf, we are going to use this particular TS object. So whenever we are trying to load this particular page, so what kind of data we are going to save, so it will try to identify by this particular TS object, something like login. Okay, the login will contain two properties, the username and password sections here. Getting the point. So if I want to provide these two sections, now what we need inside the home controller, again, we need to add two more methods here. So what are the two more methods we can add? First one is login page. Getting the point. Here slash login we can provide here. And another one is registration. Okay, so registration page. These are all the three sections we are going to add here. Now, what we need inside the home.html file, whatever we are having, it should match with the same. So first one is login. Inside the home control, it should match with this particular login. So, and another one is registration. And whenever we are trying to load this particular registration internally, it is expecting objects information. So those objects also we need to provide. So how we can provide this particular those objects here? This is another important section we need to understand here. Model you can use from this particular Spring file, and which is coming from the org Spring framework UI.model. Everything is same. Whatever we are implementing, all the annotations, request mapping, and model classes, all we are using from the Spring only. But only the Spring Boot will give you the configurations part here. Okay, so now what I'm doing here with help of this particular model.add attribute I'm going to provide here, and here I'm using the login, and if I'm trying to providing this, it should be new login, but as of now we don't have this particular login class. So what we can do, we need to create this particular class here. So here I'm going to create the login class here. Now the login class internally, so username, password, username and password. And another important section we need to understand here, we are going to discuss about the LOMBAC here. Getting the pen. So here we are going to discuss about the LOMBAC section. So to add this particular LOMBAC here, first we need to go to the same Maven repository. So you can add the LOMBAC library. You can add the LOMBAC. Here we need to go to the Spring Boot LOMBAC here, not LOMBAC here. Let's see. So anywhere we are having nothing. Okay, I think it will use this only. Go to the pom.file. So we don't have the Spring Boot section. Spring Boot does not contain the LOMBAC. We need to add explicitly versions here. So you can remove, again it is showing this particular version config here. Now I'm going to remove the version sections here. Okay, so we added this particular LOMBAC. Whenever we are adding this particular LOMBAC here we are going to use the LOMBAC related jars here. So now you can see data. So data basically it will contain the multiple properties. So because of this we are going to add this particular data, and here you can work on the setter method, setter annotation, and another one is getter. So setter methods and getter methods are going to defined by these two annotations. So along with this you can add constructor. Now you can go for the no arg constructor, getting the pen, or if you are interested you can generate the toString also, getting the pen, or if you are interested you can go for the required constructor. So we are having required arg constructor. Basically what it will do, based on this particular parameter, it will try to generate the required are constructed. So these are all the Lombard related sections. So this is important here. Getting the point. This is the Lombard library we are using, so that the boilerplate code, whatever the setters methods and getters method, we are going to exclude here. So this particular Lombard, it will going to generate the data here. Okay, so this is important here. Now after this, now we'll come back to here. Here we are trying to generate this login here. What happened? Login is different here. So login is completed. Now same thing. Now what we can do? We can go for the model section. So the same model I'm going to use it, and here we are going to use a registration. Okay, so far we don't have any registrations here. Now we need to create this particular class. Now whenever I'm trying to create this particular registration, again whatever I explain here, the same like annotations we are going to use. So before going to use this particular annotations, now what are the field we are having? This is important here. Now we can go for the registration. Okay, so username, it is copying with this. Okay, so string username I'm trying to copy. So we'll see how many we are having the properties here. So username we are having, and password we are having. So we can go for the confirm password. We'll modify this as a confirm password. And first name, so first name and last name. And address related section. So address 1, address 2, phone, email, city, zip. So we have a lot of information here. So anyway, we can add this. Address 1 and address 2. So phone number, email, and 2 other fields. City, and another one is zip code. It should match with this. So when we are trying to providing these particular fields here, it should match with whatever the timely field th dot field we are using. It should match it. Now here, what we can do, same whatever the setters and getters we are using, and we can go for the toString as well as no arg constructor, or if you are required, you can go for the required R constructor here. So why it is getting data? It is not imported. Okay, so this is the Lombard related library we are using, and now what we will do, we'll try to run our application. So when we are trying to click on the login and registration, it should load this particular data here. So let me run this example from this particular main class. So what you can do, you can go to this section and you can right click on this, run as a Java application here. So we can run as a Java application this, because it is having main method. Because of this particular main method, now it is running our application. Now you can see Spring Boot started with help of this particular time here. And here, where is our local host? So this is home page we are loading. So welcome to Spring Boot application, and we are having a login, and we can go for the registration. So if I'm trying to click on the login, so again we are getting 500, something we are missing here. So it is not using the I hope model object is failing. So invalid username. Okay, so maybe username we provided as a wrong here. Let me go to the login. What we provided username, and in the login.html what we are having username. It should be correct only, right? Login, username, and password, whatever. Let's see. It's a getter method. Why the getter method is failing? It should not fail the getter method. So let me go to the login. So I think the login username, the invalid property being okay. So I understand. Maybe it does not contain the Lomback information. Yeah, got it. So if you go to here, Eclipse, not Eclipse Marketplace. So we need to go to the home page. So let me load this. Okay, about Eclipse. So we need to click on this particular about Eclipse. Oh, here it is not there. Okay, so this is important. We need to understand here the Lomback configuration is not available because of this. So it is not working. Anyway, now what we can do, so we can download the Lomback section. Okay, let's see what is the version we are having right now. Lomback 1.18.24. So users, let me go to the .m2 repository, where it is having project something we are going to have. Let's see here we are having any project related section. Here I'm going to search the okay, it is available here 194. This is the jar. Now what I will do, so I need to go to this where I download Eclipse. I'm not remember. Okay, anyway, we'll try to go to the Eclipse where we are having. No, this is not this, right? Basically, we need to go to the Eclipse section. So where I'm having the Eclipse here. What is this version? Let's see. So which version of Eclipse we are using? Python, like Photon we are using. So I need to download, I need to search Photon. I need to search where I am having the Eclipse, like main folder. I did not remember that. It is not showing like, okay, anyway, we'll see INI file. Okay, so where it is having inside the download Eclipse. Let me go to the D download and Eclipse. Here I'm having Eclipse. Okay, so anyway, I identified this folder. So now here I want to add this Lombac jar, and I can modify as a Lombac here, and I will enable this. Uh, Java assist, and so I'm expecting most probably this issue will resolve. Let me restart this. So meanwhile, I copy, like I provided some STS related issue. Okay, colon Java agent. Sorry, I missed this. It will not work. I copy this. Not Java assist, Java agent. Let me save this one more time, and I'm going to restart one more time. We'll see. It is restarted. Again, we need to go to the Eclipse section. It is not having. Okay. So anyway, I will use the cmd command. What is the command we need to use? Let me use. So this is a STS, but we'll go for the okay. So what is the version we have earlier? I think not this. Okay, I think here we can identify, I hope. Let me go to this in the Maven repository. So Lombac 1.18.24. 1.18. Unable to access the jar file. Okay. Maybe it is because of no. Okay. So anyway, I will go to here. Here I'm having Lombac jar here. So it's selecting STS, but we'll go for the Eclipse. Okay, install. So it is installed successfully. Java agent only one it is having. Okay, let me run one more time. Basically, we need to Okay, observe. So I will show you if I'm going to launch this, so we can identify how it is going to work inside the uh, inside this particular IntelliJ. Now you can see. So this is the pom.xml whatever we used here. Now if you go to the last, this is the Lomback one we added here. Getting the point. So by default it will give you the Lomback configuration for this particular IntelliJ. Getting the point. Now if I'm going to show you whatever the main classes we have here. So home controller. So login classes we created and registration, and these are all the main file here. This is our main file here. Now finally what we will do, we'll try to run this example. First we'll build this. So how we can build, here we have an option called project to build. So we need to enable. Now you can see here this error is showing Lomback requires enable annotation processing. So by default it is identify the getting the point. So it is identify the Lomback information. This is asking enable the annotation process. So just I'm enabling this. So this is the main step we need to perform inside this particular IntelliJ. So after this, it will try to download the Lomback related. Now what happened here? So constructor login is already defined the class called login. Line number 15. So if you are using this, it is not required to this. So it's showing this information. So I'm trying to remove this particular section. So same way, if you go to this particular register also, here we are getting an error. So finally, the Lomback successfully it is working inside this particular IntelliJ. So because of IntelliJ, it will give you the fast performance compared to the STS or this particular Eclipse. Now you can see build also successfully completed. Now finally, we'll go to this application. We'll run the application directly here. From the main method, we are trying to start our application. Now you can see, so the application, it is starting successfully. But how we are getting these messages, we'll discuss later. These messages are coming, how it is coming internally here. Okay, so finally, we started this application. Now I'm going back to the same section. Let me remove the unwanted stuff, whatever we are using. Where we are trying to use. So I think, so the section is removed here. Localhost I'm running. Again, I'm trying to click on the login. Now you can see successfully it is loading login page. Now what you understand here, it is Lomback is working here. But inside the Eclipse, it is not working here. Okay. So this is only the differences here. So try to fix if you are interested to work on the Eclipse here. So what I'm expecting here, if you go to this STS, I will go to the same about STS here. Now if you're trying to see this particular section, I'm expecting the Lomback one, it should be installed here. Whatever the Lomback one we are setting here, it should be available inside the about page. So this section we are not able to see in our STS here. So because of that, the Lomback is not working here. Here you can see only Apache related. The Lomback is not working here. Okay. So it may take some time to R&D why it is not working here. But finally, what we can identify here. So simply we are able to see inside this particular STS, and the same way inside the Lomback, inside the IntelliJ it's working, but only it is failing in the Eclipse here. Okay, so we'll discuss about all the example in the IntelliJ. We'll try to download and we'll try to start the example. So finally, come back to here. So employee registration, username and password. And if I'm going to go back to so if I'm trying to click on the save, basically it will go to the 404. We don't have the save login page here. Getting the pen. We will build this particular save login page later, but now, okay. I want to come back to the home page. I want to click on the registration. So here we are getting the 500, the registration related. So something we are missing here. So let me close this, not required. We'll go for all the example in the IntelliJ. Now if you see here we are getting an exception. What is expecting neither binding result or plain object. So some error we are getting here. So what is the error we need to identify here? So template registration, it is failing. So the registration template, it is failing here because so some fields are not matching with help of whatever we created here. If you read this section, you can easily understand from where we are getting. He is expecting person bean. Getting the point? Is expecting internally person bean, but what we provided? So here registration section we provided. If you go to this particular resource and under the template registration dot HTML is expecting person bean, but what we are providing in the home controller here we are providing login. Okay, it should be replaced with registration. Because of this it is failing. Now if I'm going to save this, what we can do, stop this server, and here you can start. If you are interested to start in the debug mode, you can click on the debug mode. You can simply start this. Now you can see it is started. Now again I'm going to the same browser, so I'm trying to click on this registration. So again we are getting the 500. We need to identify what happening internally. So line number 19 we are getting. So inside the which template it is getting, so registration line number 19. If you go to the registration.html 19, what happening here? So username. So why it is failing? So again I did not match this, sorry, I forget to remove this section. It should be registration. It should be registration. So I did not match like modified this section, and finally I'm running this example. So again it is started. Now if I'm going to click on the same page here, now you can see whatever we are having. So employee registration, so username, password, first name and last name, address 1, address 2, phone, city and zip code. So this section it is coming with help of by default CSS, whatever the CSS we added here. This is the first one I added, Bootstrap as well as jQuery. But here what is very important here, the div class, whatever the div classes we are using, it should match the name of the class here. The name of the class, it is available under this particular Bootstrap or inside the jQuery here. Getting the point? So this is I copied here. Basically I did some R&D on the Google. I copied these sections here. So finally whenever I'm trying to click on this submit, now where it will go? It will go to this particular save user. Getting the point? It will go to the save user. Now what we will do? First we will try to insert with the in-memory database here. So what is the in-memory database here? So now to understand the in-memory database, Spring Boot will provide the default database called H2 database. So we'll use the H2 database here. So if I want to use this particular H2 database, now what we need? So 2 starters we require here. What are the 2 starters we required here? If I'm going to show you, first one is the starter JDBC we are going to use here. So this is we are going to use, and I am going to remove this, and another one is H2 database. So I'm trying to use this particular H2 database here. So Control Alt F. If you want to make any format, you need to use the Control Alt F. But in the like Eclipse, we are going to use Control Shift F. If I some of the shortcuts in the both IDE. Now you can see here we are able to see M icon because we are trying to work on the Maven application. So we need to refresh this. Whenever we are refreshing this internally, it will try to download all the required dependencies here. Okay, now you can see whenever I'm adding this, now if I'm going to run the same example one more time, what we expect is, so we need to identify some changes here. We need to identify some changes here. So this is important here. So fail to start. So what is expecting here? So he's expecting a data source URL. Getting the point? He's expecting data source URL. The URL it is not matching here. Now if it is not matching, what do we need? Inside this particular application.properties, we need to go to the spring.data. So here not Cassandra, we are going to use the Spring.jpl. So data source here, URL, where we are having the URL, we need to identify the URL property. So where it is having database, CM2 DDL, GPL. Okay. So it is not providing this section. So we need to identify what exactly the URL we are having. So Spring dot instead of data source dot URL. Yeah. So this is we need to use. And what is the URL we are going to use? By default the H2 database, it will provide this section JDBC. Okay, JDBC colon. So like a local host, instead of local host, we are going to use H2, and this is the database name, and we are going to use, this is the test DB. So this is the test DB we are going to use. And another one section. So another section, basically same data source, we need to use driver class name. So we need to go for the driver class name. So what is the driver class name? Basically org.h2 driver. Why it is failing? And another one is data source username. So username we are going to give SA Spring dot data source password. I'm using password. And dilate. So Spring dot dilate will coming from the, it is a database specific properties. I think basically dilate is not required right now. We are not using any dilate section. So why it is providing this error? org.h2 driver. Okay, I think it is same. Let me start the example one more time. Okay, somewhere we are getting could not load the driver class name. org.h2 driver class is missing. So because here we are adding already H2 database, where it is having Java assist, it should be available in the H2 database here. So it is there. Okay, if it is there, why it is showing this? What we are missing? Starter JDBC and H2 database. These are all the two fine. Cannot load the driver class name because H2 database is available. It should load the driver class. Okay, so anyway, we'll modify to another important section. Okay, scope instead of test 2. Okay, we need to go to the runtime. It should be available in the runtime. We'll see. So it is syncing successfully. It is started. Okay, application is started. So once application is started, what we need to go to the local host along with this H2 console. These are all not required. 404. Okay, I think H2 console, it is not started. Okay, so in that case, the database is not creating. So basically, we are going to get some messages. So it is not creating here. Okay, anyway, so instead of this, we can add Data JDBC also. Let me try adding this also. Starter data JPM. This is the starter also I'm going to add here. I'm removing this particular version. Stop the server and reload the changes. Okay, so JPA plugin later we can add. We'll see. Basically here we are going to get the S2 console related sections here. I think now it is creating. Dialect is created, but where is a H2 console? It is not enabled, I hope. Okay, so it is not enabling the H2 console. We need to add one more property. Let me try whether we can access or not. Where is the file? No. So it should be enabled here. The H2 console should be enabled. Here it is not showing any the H2 console. So for this purpose, again we need to go to the property file here, and here spring.data.jpa, what we are having, repositories enable. Here any H2 we have. Let me see spring.h2 console. Yeah, this one. So H2 console we need to enable this. Yes, so you can see here we are able to see the H2 console available on this particular path here. So this is the path. And if I'm going to refresh this, now we are able to see H2 database. So this is the test DB we are providing. And here you can see this is JDBC H2 MEM test data. If you observe, if you go to the any one of the previous database here, so we are going to provide the something local host, the name of the database, and the wherever we are trying to use the application name here. So everything it's going to match like this here. And finally, now we need to provide the username, password. So username and password. So connecting. What happened? Mem test DB is not available. So let me copy this. Basically, it should be available. Password. Now you can see we are able to see this particular H2 database. This is the default database Spring Boot is going to provide. Okay, if you are not interested the Postgres all information, for the practice purpose we can enable this and we can run the whatever the example we are going to run here. Okay, so we'll continue this same example in the tomorrow. We'll discuss about the how we can integrate with the JDBC template to insert the data. To insert the data, first what we need to create the login class and registration. Okay, when we are trying to create the login and registration, so we need to save the data into the H2 database. So this section we are going to discuss in the tomorrow session. So tomorrow also it is important session. So once JDBC template is completed, we'll go for the Hibernate template here. So whatever the session factory Hibernate template we used, the same example. After that, we'll try to discuss about the different databases, how we can connect. So we already identified the Postgres. We'll try to discuss about the MongoDB or so different databases here. Okay. So any questions here? Any questions or recording about today's session? Okay. So if we don't have anything, so tomorrow we can discuss it. I am requesting here if anyone interested, so just go to this particular, where is that? The whatever the application like simple module I developed here, copy the code and you can practice getting the pen. So this is the where it is available, internet banking. Okay, copy this code here. Copy this code and you can practice this. How we can copy here? Eclipse, I need to focus more onto the Lombac here. Okay, I will try because the Lombac is not working basically, so I need to fix that. So once a Lombac issue is completed, we can easily work on this particular example. But if you observe, IntelliJ will give you the lot of automation features compared to this particular Eclipse. So because of that, I'm trying to use the IntelliJ. But anyway, we'll try because the same example we are using here and there, we can run the same example. If you are interested, we can go for the Eclipse also. I will identify the Lombac why it is not working. So is there any configuration I'm missing? Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow. So anyone having any question? Someone trying to ask some questions, I hope. Okay. If you don't have anything, we can discuss tomorrow.